Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Backtrackin with Bill. I'm your host, Brian Haynes from the McLeod County Historical Society, and we are here once again with Bill Arndt of Hutchinson. How you doing, Bill?
Thank you, Brian. Real good.
Yeah?
It's nice and cool in here. We're not outside.
Heard you've been catching some fish.
Oh, we did a little bit
Don't
of that.
tell anybody where.
No.
You can tell me where.
Well, you wouldn't fish there anyway. So, we're here today to talk fair.
Yes, McLeod County Fair. 150 years.
Plus.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And thinking back, I got 80 years of participating in McLeod County Fair.
Yeah?
And that's why I said I would do this little thing. I started my 4-H days, and I kept on. I'm still working at the county fair.
Yeah?
I got a couple projects this year. Our Kiwanis Club has got food stands there. I'm working the gates. And I'm doing dairy herd judging.
Yeah?
Shirley Wright, every year I make a date with her. We'll see you next year. She usually has a cookie or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we sit and talk about old times.
Yeah.
So it's, how long am I going to do it? As long as my legs let me do it. So, well, like I said, 80 years in front of the grandstand. Our first years were 4-H, and the 4-H put on a pageant. I think it was statehood of Minnesota.
Okay.
We had a stage there in front of the grandstand. There used to be a big stage, at least bigger and twice as big as this room. And we had Indians, we had tents, the Indian teepee tents, we had horses and wagons, and the whole thing of the state of Minnesota, the growing of the state, you know. And gosh, I was in front of that grandstand, you know, as a youngster, and it was exciting. And then we used to have a thing at the fair. If you had a blue ribbon animal, anyway, 4-Hers, you could walk that animal in front of the grandstand.
Okay.
Oh, what a thing, get in front of that grandstand, you know. And it was fun. And I kept on this fun, let's put it that way. 4-H was a big thing and still is for the McLeod County
Yeah.
Fair. It gives youth a lot of chance to develop. I know I went from dairy to hogs to demonstrations, and maybe that's why I'm still doing this, because I'm not afraid of them cameras out there. They aren't going to bite me. I'm not afraid of that audience out there. And that's from demonstrating.
Mm-hmm.
I won a couple trips to the state fair with demonstrations. I won a trip to the Junior Livestock Show, which was an honor coming out of McLeod County. And that's building of a youth. The 4-H program is very good at that.
Yeah.
So once the 4-H was done, of course, I never stopped. I used to enjoy going to the races, and I did get to go to the Daredevil shows.
Okay.
Here's a story all by itself. Went to the Daredevil show, and man, I thought it was exciting, you know, turning the car and two wheels driving down, rolling them over, and driving through fire. So, I go home.
Mom, look what I can do.
I go home and throw some gas in the driveway.
Good idea.
Light a match to it and take my bicycle and drive through it. It happened.
Never grew back.
Yeah. my mother happened to see me do this. Not only did I lose my bicycle for a while, but I also lost going to the thrill shows.
Oh.
You're no longer going there. But then I had my dad and my uncles and that stuff. We'd go to the races on Sunday afternoon, which we had a beautiful track in the front of our grandstand down here at Hutchinson. And watch these guys race. Well, my dad and my uncle knew this guy from Cosmos. He had a straight 8 Buick, a 1930 something, straight 8. Well, this guy, it took him about 2 laps to get the thing warmed up. Then he could say goodbye to everybody else because he had her wound up going around that track. And it was exciting. You knew somebody in the thing. And then there was a guy from Hutchinson here, which I just soon not use the name, but some days he could race real good. He had a 41 Ford Coupe, and he'd go around that track real good. And then he'd get himself sometimes in trouble, and he wouldn't get up in front. And you could guarantee if he wasn't in the front 3, he was going to roll that car over, stop the race, and all this stuff. So excitement in front of the grandstand, that was always a thing. So this racetrack and grandstand was in my blood, let's put it that way. And of course, then we had that was the early 60s, we had Dolly Parton.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The crowd was unbelievable. I mean, they were hanging off the fence and everything else to see Dolly Parton. That's all. And there's a little story on this here. When we were celebrating this 150th year, I said, well, maybe we should call Dolly Parton up, see if she'd come back. Well, Keith Tungan, he's a brave boy. He called. Yeah, she'd come back. $13 million.
Woo!
A little bit rich for McLeod County Fair.
I'd say she's not going to give you 1960s prices.
No. It was, but it was just one of these things that excitement at the fair kept growing. Then tractor pulls came in. Well, years ago, the skid was a piece of sheet metal, and you had to put weight on it. Well, the only weight you really could get at that time was people. So we were all lined up. We all had to weigh, I think, 160 pounds. All lined up along the track, and you get on, see if you could stop the tractor. I mean, we had a lot of firsts here. I think we had the state championship here one time, and we had the first four-wheel drive tractor. This guy from Hector had built this four-wheel drive tractor. It was 2 tractors and then hooked together. And then we even tried a steamer. Well, it was lucky that no one was hurt in that incident, because the steamers, you had very little control of backing up and going ahead, but nobody stopped that steamer. I mean, it just, the old things had power.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was leading up to our next little case. I got involved in snowmobiling. Well, Hutch had an oval track. Our club rented the track, and we put on snowmobile races. We had the biggest snowmobile race in the state of Minnesota here in Hutchinson. And we even made a movie. It Ain't Easy is the name of the movie, and was showing in theaters throughout the country. And I happened to get on soundtrack and also on the flagging of that. And it was just an exciting time. This was back in early 70s. That got me started in snowmobile racing throughout the country.
Okay.
My son raced and I officiated. One year I did the 3 biggest races in the United States. The Winnipeg race, the race up at Ironwood, Michigan, and the race here in Hutch. And otherwise I'd be going all 5-state area. I was an official. It kept on going in front of the grandstand. This grandstand was always excited. We'd fill the grandstand with people in the wintertime. Well, from there, or even before that already, I started getting involved in demolition derbies. I did that for 30 years. And there was a lot of excitement with that. We got as high as 3 shows, 3 nights of demolition derby at the fair, you know. And demolition derby, even today, is really great. They have no cars now. I mean, these little tin cans that they run around with. But them days, we started out with the big, heavy cars. And Tom Lindemann and the beer company, Coors, we came up with a state championship demolition derby. Well, most of the cars were Imperials.
Big Chrysler Imperials.
Big Chrysler Imperials. We had a class down there of 28 Imperials.
Wow.
And these drivers came from all over the state, and you learned a lot. I traveled all over the state to encourage the top drivers to come down to Hutch. We had, I think Coors put up $3,000 purse. So that drew it in quite a few people. And it was an exciting night. And we had one guy here in Hutchinson that was an Imperial nut, and that was Scott Anderson. One time he had 8 Imperials in the shed.
Wow.
They go to California and Texas, Arizona,
Yeah.
pick these Imperials up out there. I mean, they were classic cars. Scott is still driving one of them that he was going to use for demolition derby, but they started getting expensive, and it was. And then with these, I always came up with a change of pace, and when I was in charge of demolition derbies. One, we had when the Coors company, they brought in a 6-hitch team, and we took this team and did a demonstration in front of the grandstand. How they take the old beer wagon, make the circles, and then back it up to the dock, and all this stuff with 6-hitch. It was really interesting, beautiful animals, and this kind of changed the pace. We had to take a little time. We had to change over. And another time, fire department had just got a hearse tool. That's where they can open a car up and that stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I furnished a car for them, a demo car we'd picked up at another demo derby, and it was pretty well had it. And I crawled in it, and they were going to rescue me out of that car. Okay. They started pulling it apart. Here the guy that had actually put this car together had welded the doors on the inside. You couldn't see it from the outside. It was all chained, you know, but the doors and everything. So the whole body of the car was welded in one piece. So the hearse tool didn't do the job. It couldn't break that well. So they finally cut a hole so I could get out of the car. I didn't know it. I mean, we drove the car. I think my daughter drove the car last, and she didn't know it either. And it just fun times. But I think the most craziest one that we ever came up with, and that was when we brought the tiger to McLeod County Fair.
Ooh, a tiger.
A tiger.
Oh, wow.
He weighed 600 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Siberian tiger.
Where did you get a hold of the tiger?
Well, this
he'll
is a
get
story
to- he'll
all
get
by
to-
itself now, Brian. This tiger had lived in our neighborhood out at my farm, and he used to go swimming in my gravel pit. And that tiger would lay down in that water, just his head out, enjoying it just like me or you would on a hot day, just enjoying the cool water. And this tiger would run around the neighborhood or the fields and that stuff.
Really?
The guy would come out with his pickup and the tiger would jump in the back. This tiger even rode down Main Street in Hutchinson in the back end of his pickup at one time, which
So this was somebody's pet tiger.
it was pet.
Yeah, okay.
He was defanged
Okay.
and declawed, and he'd had it since a little kitten.
Really?
And all he ever had around is the rope around the neck. You know. And he was pretty well known in our neighborhood out there, the farm. So, this is a good idea. Let's bring him down to the fair. He rode around the whole racetrack. When I did the demo derby, all the cars had to run all the way around the half-mile racetrack. He laid on top of the car, dented the roof in. And then at halftime, I brought him out. He was in a stock trailer, brought him out, brought him in front of the grandstand. And I even put my hand in his mouth. He loved to have his tongue scratched. And anyway, this tiger got to be something else. Sheriffs and police department were all after him. Oborski was the chief of police here in Hutchinson at the time. And Oborski told me later, he said, if I had known that tiger was in front of the grandstand, he said, I'd have shot it in front of the grandstand, handcuffed you and hauled you myself to Glencoe. You know, we weren't using our common sense, really. We trusted this animal. 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Could me or you stop him?
Probably
No.
not.
No. This animal was just a beautiful animal, and what really put him into a real dangerous thing, he ended up one night or one afternoon laying on the neighbor's steps. She was going to go to town, and here laid the tiger. Not the owner of him, but he'd taken him out for a run. And so everybody was after this tiger. So he was hidden from trailers, he was hidden in... He finally left the community.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody was looking for this tiger.
It sounds like police officers, lawyers, and moms just ruin all the fun.
Oh,
don't
they do. Anyway, and I'm going to go backtrack now a little bit. I just happened to look down at some of these notes. You know, I said I was with the fair for 80 years now. And I got a picture that will be shown on this. Norm Pendergast. Norm Pendergast was part of the original family of Hutchinson. And he was a postman. He delivered mail around the country. And he did an old film, and a real shaky film of the fair and of that. And that's what makes me want to, that was taken maybe 80 years ago. And that's what wants me to keep reminding people of the McLeod County Fair. It was a great, great fair. The grandstand was the best in the country, biggest one in the country. And it was really sad when we got bought by 3M. Like our 4-H had built a building there for a food stand. The dairy people had built a building for dairy shows. We gave all this up. But we had an opportunity to take this money and build a new fairgrounds. And so it was sad. And like the last night, I'm kind of wondering now, the last night of the Demolition derbies. We had a very rainy day that day. And I had lined up, and other people in our club, our Hutch Drift Riders, lined up every vehicle that was ever raced on that track. Now you go back, you had the snowmobiles, you had carts, chuck wagons, Offenhausers. We had a Model A that actually raced on the track. You know, they brought it out of storage and had and we even had the starting gate and the old Cadillac. Had that all lined up on the racetrack to say goodbye to the history of the fairgrounds. And that track was a beautiful track. Like we say, had a lot of enjoyment out there. In fact, there's a friend of mine's grandfather built a race car way back in the 20s, four-wheel drive. And it raced in this track, raced in tracks all over the country. He had a professional driver. And that all went well until his son and a buddy of his, you know, young people will try things. Grandpa, his dad was out of town. Well, let's take the car down to the track and run it. Well, the Crusoe car run on the track. And the word got back to Grandpa Crusoe, and he immediately cut it in pieces and hauled it to the junkyard.
Whoa.
That was the end of his race car. I mean, which would have been a collector's item you wouldn't have believed, because it was registered as one of the fastest cars and with the four-wheel drive.
Wow.
Back in the end of the 20s.
Wow.
Think about it. Anyway, these are things. Then the grandstand. I was talking about the grandstand. Henry Otto used to have a whole collection of. He had a license to have them, of animals. He had a bobcat, a bear, turkeys, raccoons. Underneath the grandstand, there was pens. The grandstand was 3 floors. And the guys that guarded the gates of the grandstand were some of the ugliest people you ever seen, you know. You couldn't sneak around the corner and look, you know, as a youth. You didn't have any money to get into these things. But these were, you don't go in there, get out of there. You know, so we called them ugly. And anyway, the shows we had at the fairgrounds were, wrestling tents. Maybe you've heard about them. There used to be guys that come out and put on professional wrestling shows. Well, I had a couple buddies that were pretty good. And they, wrestlers, nobody can beat us, you know, nobody can beat us. You're all candies, you farmers are all candies out here, you know. Well, pretty quick, these guys went in. And this one friend of mine, he had done a little professional wrestling. He weighed about 265. And these guys, you've got to stay in the rink for, I think, 5 minutes with them, and you can get $50. Well, holy cow, before the 5 minutes is up, they were calling for the police to come in and everything else because they were getting tossed out and never. Anyway, you had a big crowd there, so they should have got their $50, but it all ended up. You know how one creates another. And it was quite fun that night. That these wrestlers found out that they were nothing compared to our local boys. And of course, you had your fortune tellers and everything else. You know, today you don't have that at the county fairs. You had your girlish tents. Well, young guys, what were they going to do? Things have changed. And of course, years ago we used to give cars away, and it was always a big thing, you know. You got tickets. I think one time it was dollar bills. Whoever number, you know, all these dollar bills are all secret number, numbers were drawn. If they matched all the numbers, it's kind of like the lottery. You won a car.
Oh, wow.
The other thing was $500 or $1,000 a night. Draw it in front of the grandstand. Well, it happened that I'd built a machine shed, and I had 6,000 tickets in the drum. Well, I was working at 3M, so I sent my son and my uncle with this whole box of tickets. Well, they were all in series, so you knew, didn't have to look. Got $500. I heard at work when I was getting off work, he won money. Don't tell me that. Gets home and everything was as calm as could be. I knew something was up then. I didn't win $500. So that was the old days at the old fair. And then the last night, like I said before, was a sad night when we closed down the fairgrounds, and it just, history changed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode, not a episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode. Yeah, that makes. Oh my gosh, it's early. Hello, everybody.
Oh,
Hiya, folks.